Hello, Carl here with Sustainability Theory News, where we're at homesteading.com. They have an article, 5 questions to ask yourself before you become a homesteader. If you want to start raising almost all the food you eat and taking care of yourself based off the land around you, that's pretty much what homesteading is. But first, you want to ask yourself, what are your priorities? Do you want to raise livestock? Do you want to have a permaculture orchard? Do you want to just have annual vegetables in your garden and maybe some arts and crafts? What do you want to do? Maybe, I'm sure those motivations will change later on, so make sure you have a little bit of flexibility in your land. Now, where will your homestead be located? Myself, I have to have a full-time job while I build my homestead. I'm sure many people do as well, so you're going to have to pick a place that's within an easy commute of your job, or it's near an area where there's a place where you can get a job, an industry in which you have experience in. Also, how much land do you need? Maybe you only need a couple of acres. Maybe you want 100 acres and you want to do a sort of polyculture like Joel Salatin is, raising all sorts of livestock. But you don't want to jump in too much. You don't want to have too much invested in it because, quite frankly, land is expensive and you don't need a whole lot to survive. Now, ask the experts. What kind of food are you going to grow in the area? Talk to your local county extension office and also find out what kind of soil you have working on the land. Now, the experts in that area, the county extension offices, and also the conservation districts, they will know what plants thrive in that area. You want to know what your USDA zone is, so what kind of climate you're planting for. Can you raise animals for food? You might be familiar with raising animals for pets, but slaughtering them and cooking them up for dinner is a whole nother ball of wax. So maybe it's not something you want to be interested in. Maybe you're just going to keep some chickens for the eggs, maybe some ducks for the eggs as well. Maybe you will raise some animals and you just have someone else do the slaughtering for you and you just sell the food. All right, now, what will it take to care for your garden? Again, you don't want to plant too massive of a garden because you're going to have some problems, but you don't want to go too small. If anything, I'd rather have it too big than too small, because if you don't have enough food for the wintertime, heck, well, that's not a good thing. And get in touch with the soil. Find out again what kind of soil you have. Is it mostly clay, mostly sand, a nice little mix of the two with some silt in there? And what kind of plants will thrive in that soil? Find out what kind of organic matter it has in there, or rather what the organic content is. You want to have between 5 and 25% organic matter if you want to avoid fertilizing. I know that's a wide range, but there's a lot of varying schools of thought on that. Now, of course, know your climate, know how your plants will be affected by that climate, heat, humidity, wind, moisture, nutrient content of the soil, all sorts of different variables that will affect your plants. And of course, don't forget the bugs and pests and diseases. Now, how frugal are you? Last question. Basically, if you want to be a homesteader, you're probably pretty cheap, considering you want to save money or rather have great control over your food. Well, you're going to need to be frugal. You don't want to buy all sorts of expensive equipment, especially if you can just rent that equipment for 1% of the price to purchase. Of course, again, I will link this article in the description if you want to read more about it. And if you'd like to see more news headlines like this, subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.